Hello, my name is Fidelia Ibekwe. I'm a professor at Aix-Marseille University in information science, and I'm the editor-in-chief of Education for Information since 2017 till the present. When I took over the editorship of the journal in mid-2017, the journal was unknown to me, whereas I'd been in the field for almost 25 years. It was flailing, publication of issues were irregular, and sometimes some issues didn't appear. Okay. My strategy for putting education for information on the map of publishing venues for LIS faculty, that's Library and Information Science faculty, and students worldwide, was to, through my academic network, recruit well-known medium-term and advanced researchers in the I field, so information fields, from all over the world, as the map of their provenance shows on this slide. The second thing I did with my editorial board was to embark on redefining the scope of the journal to broaden its, its scope from solely focusing on library issues to include all the specialties in the information fields, construed broadly. This was firstly to try and disambiguate the confusion brought about by the word education in the title of the journal, which meant that it was attracting a lot of submissions on education in general from kindergarten to adult level. After an extensive and prolonged consultation of the editorial board, it was agreed to add a subtitle to the journal's name, as you can see. So it's now called Education for Information, Interdisciplinary Journal of Information Studies. But as you can see, we continue to refer to it as Education for Information, or EFI for short. The third thing I did was to broker partnerships with well-known conferences in the field to invite their authors to submit a peer-reviewed version of their conference papers to the journal. And I leveraged my network to do this. And I also attracted quite a couple of guest editors of special issues. As a result, till date, I've enabled the publication of 13 special issues since 2018, and 2 more are currently in preparation. These efforts were quickly rewarded by a regular appearance of the journal since I took over, which means that the journal is now indexed in Scopus, emerging sources. I have published till today 147 titles, with an increase in the number of issues per number of papers per issue. So roughly, there are about 8 papers in every issue. Whereas the analysis of the titles published in EFI up until 2017 showed a focus on traditional library topics. The tag cloud of the 147 titles I published between 2018 and now shows the broadening of these topics. As you can see on the map, the term information science is quite prominent. You have new specialties emerging like health information source, open science, cultural heritage, social media, mixed methods, online health information, digital age, community of practice, big data, and so on and so forth. With the regularity of appearance of issues and the increase in quality, there were obviously ripple effects, such as uptake in number of citations and thus of EFI metrics, as Daniel, the editor of EFI's metrics, will speak about in a while. Thirdly, the summer of 2020 can be called the summer of racial justice, as the racist murder of George Floyd became a call to action to combat systemic racism everywhere it is. I set up a plan of action to address this issue of racism in a perennial fashion to show that it is not a case of once the cameras of the world have moved elsewhere to another crisis, we forget all about it. Thus, this topic is an ongoing series on race. One special issue on race relations in LIS has been published in 2021 by 3 African-American scholars who then became board members of the journal, Shari Lee, Renat Chancellor, and Anthony Dumba. Anthony Dumba, who is now a professor at the Dominican University in the United States, accepted the task of building a perennial board for this series on race. And this board comprises colleagues from all the continents. And he's in the process of preparing a second special issue on critical race theory and how it applies in the I fields, which is due around May of 2022. You can find out more about his editorial team that he has put together specifically to keep this topic on the map of the journal by going to the link that you can see on the slide. So this signals a commitment of EFI to racial justice, to ethnic diversity and inclusivity, not only via these special issues, but also in ensuring that these principles are reflected and embedded in the constitution of EFI's board members and hopefully in the authors of the journal. I will now turn it over to some of my colleagues who have been with me on this adventure to say a few words on their experiences as board members of EFI. And I will close us off with some reflections on what I see as challenges for the future of scientific publishing globally, and thus how they may impact the journal going forward and iOS Press in general. So I'm turning it over now to Daniel Martinez-Avila, who is going to tell us more about his implication with the journal, and especially concerning the journal's metrics. So over to you, Daniel.
Thank you, Fidelia. My name is Daniel Martinez-Avila. I work at the University of Lyon in Spain, and I'm going to talk about the performance of some impact indicators of the journal since 2018, when I joined the board as metrics manager. The journal is currently indexed by the Scopus database under the categories Library and Information Sciences, Education, and Information Systems. The current Simago journal rank impact indicator that works with Scopus is 0.433. This value for the journal, notwithstanding, has steadily grown and almost doubled since the 2018 version of the indicator. On the other hand, the value of the current Scopus impact indicator, SiteScore 2020, that follows a different methodology for its calculation, is 1.3, while the SiteScore Tracker 2021, updated monthly, is 3.1, according to the February 7th, 2022 value, suggesting perhaps an improvement when the new versions of the indicator are published this year. Currently, the journal is in the second quartile of the 3 categories in which it is included in Scopus, moving up from the third quartile positions in which it was back in 2018. Education for Information is also currently indexed by the Emerging Sources Citation Index, ESCI, of the Web of Science. In 2021, Clarivates published the new journal citation indicator for SC index journals. The current value for Education for Information is 0.63. The maximum value according to the estimations of the previous years, placing it in the second quartile of the Information Science and Library Science category. Overall, it can be said that Education for Information is performing well according to these and other bibliometric indicators and progressing positively over the years.
Okay, thank you, Daniel, for all this and for your work and dedication to the journal. I will now turn it over to Vera Granikov and Pierre Pluy, who are both at McGill University in the School of Family Medicine, I believe, and specializing in health information. Pierre couldn't be with us, but he prepared this presentation. So Vera is going to talk more about what they have been doing for the journal. Over to you, Vera.
Great, thank you, Fidelia. So my name is Vera Granikov, and I'm a PhD candidate at the School of Information Studies at McGill University in Montreal, Canada. And I've been working with Pierre for many years now. He is from family medicine, but does research in information, and specifically health information. And I would say our experience with Effie really speaks to the interdisciplinarity and openness of the journal. Pierre and I were able to carry out and host a 3-part special series on online health information.
This one.
Yes, exactly. So here you see the different topics, and we were really, well, we were inspired by the mutually beneficial relationship also, I would say, between health sciences and library and information sciences. We see it also in the rise of evidence-based library and information practice that started by health librarians who learned about certain methods and certain ways of working practices and brought it to the library and information science field. So that's a little bit what Pierre and I did with our 3-part series. And as you could see from the slide, we brought articles that talked about literature reviews, systematic literature reviews, specifically their history, different methods and tools that could be used for literature reviews. We had another part that looked more specifically at online health information, consumer health information. And once again, we tried to bring both research as well as descriptions of different programs and tools that we have in family medicine. And finally, at the end, we talked about the role of information for learning and practice and teaching as it is seen in health-related domains. And we were really, it was a great opportunity for us to do this work, and we hope that Effie's readership enjoyed it as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vera. So I will now briefly give account of another of my board members who, for reasons of conflict of timetable, couldn't be with us, but she did send in some comments and prepared a slide. So her name is Tamara Heck, and she's an information scientist at the Information Center for Education in an institute in Germany. She's also an editorial board member, and she has also managed a special issue on open education and open science. And when asked what she likes, what's unique about Effie, she says what she appreciates is that the publications of the journal show a highly international and interdisciplinary scope, which is visible via its topics and case studies from many different countries. And this makes the journal unique in the I fields because it offers space for different perspectives by international colleagues from the information research field. And in her opinion, the topical range of the journal and the visibility of international scholars have positively developed within the last years. Moreover, in the journal's publications, scholars and practitioners find a variety of different scientific methodological approaches and tools, as well as practical approaches to apply in learning and teaching scenarios or in information infrastructures like libraries. And when asked where should the journal be heading, she says scientific communication should not only happen within the research community, but within and with society. So transferring scientific insights into the society is crucial. Moreover, practitioners' feedback needs to get back to researchers to be able to improve and progress research, letting practitioners report on what works, what doesn't work in real cases, and fostering a dialogue of sharing expertise between research and praxis could be a goal for the coming years. So that's it for Tamara's input. Now I will close us off with a couple of remarks concerning the future of scientific publishing and what I see as its challenges. In my opinion, there are 3 trends that are on the increase that pose challenges for the scientific publishing model and ecosystem. The first one is open access. Open access has become a legal requirement for all publicly funded research and by national funding agencies within the European Union. To the already existing open access paths like green, gold, bronze, has now been added the silver path, whereby institutions will make agreements with publishers to have their researchers publish open access without authors having to pay, so not pay for the gold path. The second trend is the requirement to self-archive our publications with our own page setting and upload them on freely accessible repositories. And that is really on the rise. It is now becoming a condition to receive funding from our institutions if we self-archive and make our publications freely accessible. And more of my editors of special issues are requesting to have the articles of their issues offered free of access, so without paying. So my question to iOS Press is, how will they sustain their current economic model? And possibly they will have to review some of the pricing of the journal. The third trend is that the EU and parts of the scientific community are pushing for a switch to the open peer review model and paradigm, whereby authors and reviewers will converse and possibly argue about comments made to their papers, and they will arrive at some form of decision. And I don't know exactly how this model is going to function, but it is an emerging trend. And this will have profound implications for the way scientific journals are currently run. So these are the things I think that iOS Press will have to look closely at and see how it's going to adjust in the future, because it might impact just the whole ecosystem. So having said all of this, finally, I want to close this presentation by thanking iOS Press for trusting me and allowing me the space and the privilege of serving as editor-in-chief of one of their journals. I thank my colleagues amongst those who are present, but also those who couldn't make it, but who expressed their interest in this celebration. So I thank all of them for their time in accepting to do something that can be seen as a thankless job of reviewing papers, and for giving me their trust and their confidence, which has enabled the journal to thrive and make the achievements that it has made so far since I took over as editor-in-chief. So thank you, and happy 35th anniversary to iOS Press, and long live. Thank you.